Alright, in this video we're going to figure out how to find the exact value of the tangent of 255 degrees. That's the first thing that's bothering me. This is in degrees. I'd much rather have it in radians. So let's make that conversion. The way we convert degrees into radians is we multiply by pi over 180, which basically means I'm going to put a pi next to it and 180 under it. Now, Jordan, if I divide both of these by 5, what am I going to get so far?
You get 51 over 36.
All right, so now I have 51 over 36. Now, both of these are divisible by 3. So do that and tell me what you get.
17 over 12.
Okay, so I have 17 pi over 12. So far that's what we have. So this problem can be rewritten as the tangent of 17 pi over 12. Now this is not a special angle, so I need to split this up into two angles that are special angles. So one way of figuring out how to break this up into special angles is to subtract a special angle. So I have 17 pi over 12. Usually it works to just subtract pi over 4, so I would start with that and see what I get. To subtract these, I would need like denominators, so I would multiply by 3. So that's 17 pi over 12 minus 3 pi over 12, so that's 14 pi over 12. That reduces down to 7 pi over 6. So now I have 17 pi over 12 minus pi over 4 is equal to 7 pi over 6. That means 17 pi over 12 is equal to pi over 4 plus 7 pi over 6. So I'm going to make that substitution now. So now I will think of the problem as the tangent of pi over 4 plus 7 pi over 6. Now looking at our sum and difference identities, this is the formula for the tangent of a sum. So hang on to that in your brain. So if I apply that formula to this, then I have tangent pi over 4 plus tangent 7 pi over 6 over 1 minus tangent pi over 4 tangent 7 pi over 6. Okay, now tangent of pi over 4, that's 1. That's just one of those values that we've memorized. Tangent of pi over 4 is 1. Tangent of 7 pi over 6, I'm thinking about the reference angle pi over 6. So I know that the tangent of pi over 6, we've memorized that to be radical 3 over 3. So the only question is, should it be negative radical 3 over 3? For that, we just consider the quadrant that it's in. And so if I think about my pi over 6's, I'll just draw my little bootleg diagram. That was just too horrible to count. Try that one more time. Alright, here's my little pi over 6 diagram. Okay, so I have these 4 angles to consider that all have a reference angle of pi over 6. 2 of them will be positive and 2 of them will be negative. Okay, well actually I don't care about all those. The 7 pi over 6 is in this quadrant right here, so that's going to be positive. Okay, so now in the denominator I have 1 minus. We've already discussed that the tangent is 1, so I'm just going to ignore that. And again, I'm going to have radical 3 over 3 from the tangent 7 pi over 6. Okay? Does that make sense so far?
Yeah, I've got enough.
Okay, so now I'm just going to add the numerator terms together, and I'm going to add the denominator terms together. One way to do that is to understand that 1 is really 3 over 3. So both of these problems will become, will have a 3 over 3 where the 1 used to be. Okay, so now I'm in a good position to add these up. Get rid of this. Okay, so I'm going to have 3 plus radical 3 over 3 over 3 minus radical 3 over 3. Now, I'm noticing that these denominators are the same, the 3 and the 3. So I know those will just cancel out. So that's going to give me 3 plus radical 3 over 3 minus radical 3. So for this unit, for this objective, we have to rationalize the denominator. We have no choice. So we definitely need to multiply by what's called the conjugate. So looking at the denominator, the conjugate would be 3 plus radical 3. So we need to multiply that in the numerator and the denominator. Okay. Messed that up a little bit. Okay, if I multiply that out in the numerator, I'm going to get 9. So it's going to be like this. I have 9 plus 3 radical 3 plus 3 radical 3 plus 3. In the denominator, I'm going to have 9 plus 3 radical 3 minus 3 radical 3 minus 3. Does that make sense? Okay. So now combining my like terms, here, I'll just do it right here. Combining my like terms, I'm going to have 12 plus 6 radical 3 over 6. Does that make sense? Okay. So I'm just going to take this 6 and put it under each term separately. So that would make it like this. So that's why the final answer is going to be 2 plus radical 3. And that would be the final answer.